Welcome to Warrior Commission Now, where we talk about practical ways to live your commission with God in your day-to-day life. And today I have a wonderful guest with me. Robin Pelton is here. We're going to talk about some really amazing things, and we'll share more about that in just a minute. But Robin is someone who has been on my journey. She's one of those people who has who God has intertwined with journey and story in my life for quite a while, and I have just loved her continual presence and wisdom that she's gained through her journey and story. So we're going to talk today about something that God had placed on her heart in a process of time, also in a time when she struggled to hear God. And to have those experiences, if you will, that sometimes we get to see and experience the Lord's presence. But it was a time when he was a bit silent. But in that time, he did so much, Robin, in your life and in what the depth of your deep wells are. He dug those deep wells. So I would love for us to kind of talk about maybe one of those pictures he gave you with, there was one that he gave you that was like a chair. And so would you share a little bit about that picture and kind of what God revealed to you in the process of that, both as a comfort, but also something that he's continued to build on over the years?
Thank you for having me. Thanks for allowing me to be on this platform. I take it as a very serious honor. And so I just want to thank you very much. And more than anything, I want to thank you for the journey that we've got to stay on together. Mm-hmm. He showed me, and he actually didn't bring it to the fullness till I actually went to one of your conferences. But probably back in 2005, he had shown me he'd given me 3 foundations. That's what he kept calling them. I'm going to give you foundations. And it was at a time where I felt like my mind was being sifted. I really felt like if anybody knew the thoughts that were going through my mind, they would send me to a loony bin and they would take away my kids. It was such a battering ram in my mind that was really difficult. But anyways, during that time, he put 3 foundations in my mind. Solidified three foundations. And I think sometimes we think that you have to feel something for it to be true. And that isn't, our feelings are the least of it. We have to pay attention to our feelings. Yeah. We can't just throw them away, but we can't let them drive the car either. So the first one was that he is good. Mm-hmm. The second one is that I can trust him. And the third one was that he loves me. Mm-hmm. And it was years and years and years. It was probably, I don't remember, when did I go down there to your
was it the retreat that I was?
Yeah, the retreat that you had.
It would have been probably, 6-7 years ago, maybe.
Yeah. So it had probably been 8 or 9 years. And he said to me, Robin, because I am, you are. And I was struggling with having thoughts of infidelity. And I kept going, I only love my husband. I don't know how I can get rid of these thoughts. And I only want to be with my husband, but I don't know what this looks like because I had seen a lot of infidelity growing up. And so he said, because I am, you are, and I am faithful. And so when those thoughts would come up, that's what I would say. I am faithful. And later on, he said, Robin, that is the chair I want you to rest in. It is your throne. And he said, it is those 4 things. You have to know and trust that I am good. You have to know and trust that you can trust me. You have to know that I love you. And you have to know I'm faithful because I will do what I said I will do. I am who I said I am. And so he said, I need you to sit down and I need you to rest. And so that is the chair that he had shown me in that picture.
That's good. And, as you've gone through the journey, you've explored those different things. What's really seems to have happened is God's drawn you into a deeper understanding of his nature and his goodness, rather than something that, like you said, the feelings come and go. There are times when we have those feelings and those experiences, but it's not like you said, it doesn't drive the car. I thought that was really a brilliant statement. Feelings don't drive the car. Relationship with God does. And there are ebbs and flows in that relationship. So the flows would be like when we have those experiences, and the ebbs might be when it's just, he's quiet. And it's in those times that, for me, when he's been quiet, it's been those deeper places that, if we were feeling those experiences all the time, we would never process what it is that he has given us. It would never go below the surface.
Absolutely.
He's distracting, Absolutely. But he's there. It's like, oh, that's, this is what I want to, focus on. And so he allows us to not feel his presence sometimes, so that we can actually go deeper, I think, in who he is and what that looks like for us. And those places that, Jesus said, blessed are those who believe but have not seen. And there's something, I think, that's really significant when we get to that place where we choose to believe, even though we aren't seeing him maybe in the moment of what he's doing.
Absolutely. Well, and that's Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Yeah. And so I think that it's coming to that place where it's not just about, I feel him today. Because that was a thing when prior to this season, I felt him all the time. I knew his presence. And that's how I knew he was there. I could feel him. And so it was coming to the place where it wasn't about feelings anymore. It was coming to the place that whether my situation looked like everything was perfect or whether it was crumbling, he was who he said he was. He'll do what he says he will do. And it was coming to that place where I could rest in that, because it's so hard when everything is crumbling around us. We go back to the garden and what happened? It was God's character that was assassinated. Yeah. Did God really say? And in that question, there is so much fear. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have any stability if all of a sudden you're doubting that God said or that God is good. Because in that one question, all of a sudden it says, well, is God good? Is he withholding from me because he doesn't love me? Is he withholding from me because, he's this God who wants all the power and he wants all the goodness? All of these doubts bring questions into it and it cracks. All of a sudden your foundation cracks. That's when it's easy to fall. But when we can stand and come back to, and I think it's so important to realize that in those times being real and going, God, I'm struggling. I mean, there were times I was literally on the floor when he told me this and started this foundation. The barrage was so bad. I was literally in my bedroom on the floor with the kids out watching like Dora. and because I couldn't get control over it. And he said, I am good. I am good. Robin, I just need you to believe that. I am good. And so I would lay on the floor and all I could say over and over and over again was, you are good. You are good. You are good. You are good. Because everything in my mind went, if you were good, this wouldn't be happening in my life. If you were good, I'd be feeling your presence right now. And I'm not feeling your presence. If you were good, these thoughts wouldn't be in my head. Just all of the different accusations against the character of God were there. And so him giving me that tool to say, no, I need you to just sit here and repeat and know I am good, whether you feel it. I am good, whether your circumstances show it. I am good, whether your thoughts line up with what I'm saying. I'm good. Because we have to all go back and realize that there was a place in our lives where the enemy sowed doubt, where the enemy sowed insecurity, where the enemy sowed lies against who, one, you are, but two, who God is. And so it's coming to the foundation of, I can stand here because I truly believe this is who you are, regardless of anything else. And I think your story, you know, I watched you through the years rely on that. You know, when you had a huge betrayal years ago, I watched you be real, one, because we had a real conversation. This is what's going through my mind. This is where I'm struggling. And I never ever really saw you doubt the goodness of God. And I mean, we're talking years. I never saw you doubt the goodness of God, but it was trying to figure out where he was showing it to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's sometimes in the process of those struggles, you know, we hold on to what we know about him. You know, it moves from faith for something unseen into trust for who he's been, and that he's already built that, and he's a good God. And I think that it's almost like you said, that you were stripped of everything in those moments, except that was all you could say is he is a good God. And in the process of those struggles and those trials, it's a place where I think you're just raw. You know, there's a rawness in it, and there's a questioning, but we don't have to question him. You know, we like you said, it's about, okay, God, if this is being shut down, there's something that's there where you are, where you're standing, where I need to gravitate toward. Like my focus needs to shift in some way, so that I'm not so overcome by the circumstances and by the situation, and in that situation by that betrayal, but by, okay, God, well, and he had given me a heads up that betrayal was going to come.
Right.
So it wasn't a surprise in some sense, although there were still choices that were made to step into that, you know.
But I don't think things have to be a surprise for them to still be real and to hurt.
Oh no, having the heads up didn't change the emotional challenge that was a part of that, you know. But I know he's a good God, and I know, you know, we've got that verse that. Psalm 27:13, I would have despaired unless I had believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. And I think sometimes we look at that verse and we think the rah-rah moment, that the goodness of God is like this experience of, you know, like, you know, just euphoria kind of experience.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes the goodness of God in the land of the living is just him being there, knowing that he's there, whether you feel him or not, knowing that he's there, knowing that he is moving and that he's sovereign, and that his majesty and his goodness will always prevail, you know, because it's his goodness that is his glory.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think that when we're in that place of trying to wrestle with that understanding, there are certain things that are foundational in us that don't have to be shaken. And I think that's part of when we hit those times that we hit things that are shaken. It's like, what is shaken? Well, in that particular situation, the goodness of God was not shaken. For me. In other situations that I've had, you know, then it might be my identity wasn't shaken, or my understanding of direction or purpose, or call, commission wasn't shaken. And it's interesting to see in those times, it's like whatever can be shaken will be, but what isn't shaken, you know, and in that place, that's where we really kind of, the layers get pulled off, and it's like, what is our foundation?
Absolutely.
And for you, it was knowing that God was good, you know, and even though you reminded yourself of it, you knew he was good.
Well, and for me, he's always taken me back to the only thing, anything in heaven and earth can be shaken. And realizing that when things are shaken inside of us, it's actually his goodness that's doing it.
Yeah.
Because if we have a faulty foundation, it's a target for the enemy.
Absolutely.
The enemy will hit you anywhere he knows there's a weakness. And the thing is, sometimes we're like, God, why would you allow him to do this? And genuinely, he's going, sweetheart, he's hitting it because there's a weakness. I'm allowing it so that I can show you it, because I want to shore that up so that this never gets hit again.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want you to be strong in your identity. I want you to be strong in my identity. And so we can't love people if we don't, one, first love our God.
Yeah. But
two, love ourselves. And then we love people. Right. And so when we come to that and he's shoring up things, recognizing, okay, wait, all of a sudden I feel really triggered. What is being triggered? What are my thoughts? Like for me, that was one of the biggest things is I've learned over the years. At that time, when he gave me those 3 foundations, I couldn't stand. All I could do was lay on the floor. Right. And repeat after him, like, you are good, you are good, you are good. And that wasn't working the second time. And then it went to, you are trustworthy. And then it went to that he loves me. And so those 3 things were the ones that got me off the floor. But I think that remembering that if you can remember he is good, then everything that's happening to you, whether we're meant to rebuke it and say, no, this doesn't get to come here, or whether we're allowed to weather the storm and get to the other side and reap the reward. However it is, if we can stand on the foundation of he is good, that's where I've been able to anchor myself too. Yeah. You know, those 3, well, really those 4 things. So when things start coming and then your thoughts start going, that's where I always go to. I have to go to the foundation of, okay, 1, I know you're good. 2, I know that you're trustworthy. 3, I know that you love me. And 4, I know that you're faithful. And so I can't be shaken if this is where I'm at. The world around us is going to shake. I mean, we've seen the elections. We've seen the stock market. We've seen all of the different things be shaken. But when we go back to, this is who my God is, and he's going to work things out for me. In the long run, this is going to work out for my good. And that has been huge. One thing he gave me with that verse that you just said, I would have despaired had I not believed that I'd see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. He had shown me once that I was walking through this valley, and it was really dark. And as I'm walking, all I can see is just right ahead of me. You know, his word is a lamp. Yeah. And all of a sudden I felt like he said, look up, look up. And I looked up, and there was a cross, and it was at the top. And behind the cross was the sun. And what happens when the sun is behind something? It casts a shadow. And when we get to the other side of the cross, that's where the living happens. Yeah. On this side, there's death. On that side, there's life. And so he said, just keep walking. Just keep walking. And it was incredible, the hope that springs up in you when you can go, I actually believe that I'm going to see the goodness of the Lord if I just keep walking. You know, Psalm 23 says that surely goodness and mercy will follow you all the days of your life. Well, if it's following, that means you got there first. Right. So realizing, like, we got to stay the course. You can't give up. This is who God is. This is what he says. This is what he'll do. That's where we're safe. That's where we're not shaken.
Yeah. And I think that there's more to this conversation. I'd like to go ahead and close it down right this minute for this, but I'd like to go ahead and continue from that vision on in another recording. So guys, thank you for joining us. And we're just at the beginning of this conversation. But if you guys want to see what the part 2 of this conversation is, after you see this one, we post on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. If you'd like to find out more about the Warrior Commission, please go. There's a link or in the text below, so you can find that. So Robin, thank you for joining us in this conversation. And like I said, we'll do a part 2. So thank you guys. Y'all have a lot to think about just from this. So process and then come back and let's hear part 2. Thank you so much.